Hi guys, so I want you guys to meet someone. Let's see. Oh, there she is. There's my baby girl. Say hi. Can you say hi? Can you say hi? This is baby Holly Renee Rose. I'm not going to say last names, of course, just for privacy reasons, but yeah, she's going to be 3 weeks old and Monday, and then it's Saturday night, and I'm gonna probably have to feed her. I'm breastfeeding, if you guys didn't know. But yeah, this is Miss Holly. You gonna say hi? Oh, she spit up. You spit up. Yeah, let's find. Put a little rag here. Say ew. Ew. Yeah, she's perfect. It's amazing. I just can't believe my little girl's here. Do you see yourself on there? Do you see yourself on there? And she'll be 3 weeks old on Monday, and I just can't believe it. I'm also 3 weeks, obviously 3 weeks postpartum. This is gonna be my little update. It might be kind of like a long video, but let's see. But this is probably, yeah, it's gonna be a long video. It's gonna be my birth story and my experiences the past, couple weeks, and so how she's doing and all that. I'll start off when she was born. She was born March 12th, 2018, and I believe it's March 31st. Yeah, March 31st. Tomorrow's Easter. March 31st, 2018. And she was born, you wouldn't believe this, guys, she was born at 9 pounds, 2 ounces. Whoa. And I can't believe it. Right before my C-section even started, I was getting prepped and stuff. All the nurses were just trying to guess how much she weighed. And of course they asked me how much they thought that she was going to weigh. And I was like, I think she's going to be 8'2". I was a pound off. As soon as she came out, my doctor was like, you really got a chunky baby, and it was pretty crazy. Of course, leading up to my C-section, I was absolutely terrified. It was very scary. I'm not trying to scare anyone out there that's going to have a C-section, or, or doesn't know if they're going to have one. My surgery went perfectly fine. It's just my recovery is what was really rough, and it was kind of traumatizing a little bit. I hate to say. Even I had kind of had a rough time, even just experiencing just a regular C-section. What? Are you getting hungry? Are you getting hungry? Are you getting hungry? But the C-section, I could not believe how much more aware I was this time. If you guys didn't know, I had a C-section with my son. He's now almost 3, and I was already with 17 hours of labor with him, and I was just not, mentally present very well then. But this time I really was, and I remember every single bit of my C-section. And I was very aware, and the only thing that really scared me was after she came out, when they were sewing me up and stuff, I felt like I could not breathe, and I felt like my head was going to explode. Which that's something that you don't want to feel. I think that's actually pretty normal with the spinal that I got. Are you getting frustrated? Are you getting bored? I think she's getting hungry. I'm gonna go ahead and feed her real quick. Okay, so, basically, I'm trying to get her to latch here. Basically, after she came out, I remember asking if she had hair, and they said, all the nurses said, yeah, she had hair. And I was, crying a little bit, and of course I was still kind of drugged up, and I felt like my emotions weren't working very well then, but of course I was very emotional about her being here and hearing her cry, and then when I look over, she looks huge and chubby while they're cleaning her off, and, they lifted her up over the drapes so I could see her, like, right there, like, I saw her, and, like, as soon as she came out, and then my husband actually got a picture of her laying on my legs as soon as she came out. What's the problem, honey? What's the problem? And yeah, basically, that was really cool because I do not remember that with my son. They lifted her up right over the drapes, or right above the drapes, and then they set her over to clean her off and weigh her and all that. And then my husband walked over to just to go see her, and he was a mess, you guys. He was very emotional. He was crying, and I love seeing that. There was just so many mixed emotions about my C-section. What, honey? What is that? Paw Patrol? Cool. Good job. Ketchup. Hold on, you guys. But yeah, basically it was a very emotional time, and it was also a pretty nerve-wracking time. Of course, anytime you have any kind of major abdominal surgery, it's going to be a little frightening. But I got a baby girl out of it, so that means a lot. And after my C-section, they put her on my chest for kangaroo care, they call it, like skin to skin, underneath my gown, which they did not do with my son. So I got to do skin to skin, like, as soon as they got done putting me back together, which was very, very cool. Very neat experience. I highly suggest that with you guys, if you guys are getting a C-section, because, I mean, it helps a lot with breastfeeding, too, because she was already, like, rooting. If you guys probably saw the pictures in my birth vlog. But, what's the matter? Hold on. So, yeah, I can't remember where I left off. Yeah, kangaroo care, highly suggest it. Then they wheeled me off to recovery, and I was in there for probably about 2 hours, I think. And she latched, like, right away, because I wanted to breastfeed. And, yeah, she latched, like, right away. She was actually born with a little bit of jaundice, and it didn't develop until, like, a couple days later, or a day later. Basically, she, because of my diabetes, she was born with low blood sugar, which was kind of concerning. But after I fed her, her blood sugar stabilized. It went back up to normal, and it stabilized. So it was a big, proud mommy moment for me. I was able to feed her back to health, pretty much. Not to health, but, just back to normal. And yeah, she was born with a little bit of, like, extra amniotic fluid. I had a little bit too much. If you guys didn't know from my pregnancy updates, I had a little bit too much fluid. She had actually had issues trying to get rid of some of it while we were in the hospital. So she was actually, like, they called it, like, silent choking, which is very, very frightening. And they had to rush her off to the nursery a few times, which was very scary. But she was able to get all that cleared up before we left. We weren't going to leave if she kept doing that. Go sleep. Go sleep. She loves to be patted. Like, I have to keep patting her. Go to sleep. But yeah, that was pretty frightening. I'll have to say, like, you know, my whole experience in the hospital was kind of traumatizing. I, I, I hate saying that. I really do. Emotionally, I struggled. Physically, I struggled. If you guys don't know, if you have your second C-section, your pain is so much worse. And you know, you kind of forget. You know, I kind of forgot how painful it was. But I do remember it not being as bad with my first. I do remember that. I felt like I was so distracted from my pain, and you know, I wasn't feeling well even after I was wheeled back to my room. I was actually throwing up because of the spinal and the anesthesia and whatever they call it. And it was pretty rough. But I stayed there for 3 nights. So we left Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon. Stayed one night or a couple nights. It was just one night at home, and I started having some severe neck pain. What's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? But yeah, I pretty much the first morning at home, well, actually, it was like the night before it started. I had some severe, I actually still have it. It's not as bad, but I had some really bad left neck pain, like just all up my neck. And, you know, I was like, okay, I gotta do something about this, because it was very uncomfortable. I mean, it still is very uncomfortable. Like, every time I look to the right, it hurts. And so I called my doctor, and they were like, okay, either go to the hospital or just let's make an appointment and then see, and then just go from there. So I'm like, okay, let's just make an appointment first, because I don't want to make rash decisions. So we ended up going to the hospital, but to the clinic at the hospital, so not directly to the hospital. And when I went there, they checked my blood pressure, and it was like 160 over something. I don't remember the bottom number, but it was really high. I had really high blood pressure when I was in. Keep in mind, I was still in a lot of pain. I mean, I had my C-section was only like 3 or 4 days ago at this point. But because of that, I had to be sent off to the hospital. So I went. They wheeled me to the. I was really lucky that I was at the location of my hospital. Like, it was connected to. The clinic was connected to the hospital. Even just kind of talking about it is just making me just kind of have a little bit of a panic attack. I'm not panicking right now, but it's just making me kind of nervous. Yeah, they wheeled me into the hospital, and they put me in triage, and my doctor pretty much diagnosed me with postpartum preeclampsia, and I have never ever heard of this. So they wanted to keep me overnight. They put me on magnesium sulfate for 24 hours, just so I wouldn't have a seizure. And they said if I would have waited a couple days longer, I could have had a seizure at home, and things would have gone really bad. So I'm really, really happy to say that, or happy that I went in when I did. And that whole experience was just, it was awful, you guys. I was absolutely terrified. And, you know, my son, he was with my mom. So he was being watched and cared for when this was all happening, but I had to bring my daughter with me because I was breastfeeding. And I had to get a ride. With my husband was my only option, and there was no way I was driving because I was taking Percocet, and for the pain, and just let alone the pain of the C-section made me incapable of driving. So my husband and Holly were with me, and yeah, so basically we stayed overnight and make sure I got my magnesium sulfate through my system, and I gotta tell you, that was hell, you guys. I felt like I was dying. Like, maybe not dying, but just, it made me feel really sick, and it's pretty normal. They said it was normal. Like, it pretty much makes you feel like you have the flu. You get heat flashes and cold sweats, and I felt nauseous, and it's a funny thing, they gave me Zofran through my IV, and I actually had an allergic reaction to that, so I broke out in a huge rash all over my body. It wasn't itchy or anything. I wasn't, like, having trouble breathing because of it, but that's what happened, so now I'm allergic to Zofran. But the magnesium sulfate made me feel really sick, and I could hardly get out of bed just to go pee, and they had to, like, monitor, like, how much I was, peeing into a cup. Like, I had to pee into a cup, and they had to measure how much I was, just to make sure my kidneys were working, because preeclampsia can affect your kidneys and your liver the most, and they wanted to make sure my kidneys were working okay. So, so they were monitoring my blood pressure every hour while I was on magnesium sulfate, and it stayed high. It stayed elevated, but it wasn't as bad as it was when I went into the doctor's office. Like, it was like 130s. It stayed like in 135-ish or 140s. 140s and 90s. Like 140 over 90. Let's estimate around then. So that stayed like that for 24 hours. And then my doctor was like, okay, we need to keep you one more night just to make sure you do okay on your blood pressure medication and being off the magnesium sulfate. So on the first night, like probably around like midnight, they gave me my blood pressure medication, and it worked really well. My blood pressure dropped to like 120 over 80, and that's where it should be. And then, of course, like, in the morning, they checked it again, and it was still kind of elevated, but they still let me go, because, they said it's okay that it's like that, which I don't think it is, but whatever. They sent me home with nifedipine, I think it's what it's called. It's a blood pressure medication, and, she's always hungry. Always hungry. She's cluster feeding right now, too. But anyway, just that whole experience of just being in the hospital pretty much the whole entire week. We didn't get home until like Sunday, and she was born on a Monday morning. I thought something was gonna happen to me. And, my postpartum hormones are real. And I just feel like this whole experience with me being sick and not feeling well has affected the way I'm bonding with her. And, yeah, I mean, now that we're home, I'm bonding with her now. But my hospital stay with my son was amazing. Like, besides the pain, it sucked. But with her, my experience with her, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. Like, I thought something was gonna happen to me, and I was just in so much more pain than last time, and it was awful. And I'm trying to cope with it. I'm trying to move on. I really do need to move on from it, but I still worry about myself sometimes. Like, right now, I feel like my blood pressure is kind of high, even though I just took my medication. I'm constantly worried that if I'm going to have, like, a stroke or something, which I know I shouldn't think about that. I almost constantly have a headache. My neck's still hurting, like I said, like, a few minutes ago. But my neck pain yeah, that's pretty much my experience. And I don't know, I'm just kind of, I'll be honest, I'm kind of depressed about it. I'm just glad that she didn't really have any major issues. But just, and plus I was away from my son for just about a week, and it killed me. It killed me emotionally, and so did it affected my husband too. And I was absolutely terrified. I mean, I know it could have been worse. I know that. But that was just what I went through, and it was awful. And I just feel like it's my fault, just the way I ate my last few weeks of pregnancy. Because I honestly didn't know I had gestational diabetes. Because I passed my I took a 3-hour glucose test and a 1-hour, and I passed. Flying colors. I don't know, you guys. I'm sorry I'm kind of bumming you guys out, but on the bright side, I lost probably about 25 pounds. I don't know if you can tell my face. People have been saying, my family have been saying, like, my face, I've lost weight. I mean, when I was 9 months pregnant, my last appointment, I weighed like 175, and now I weigh 145. So I don't know. I can't do math in my head. I know, dumb. But that's a lot of weight that I lost, so I'm very excited about that. Like, a lot of my pants are loose. I don't know if it's because of, well, obviously it's because I lost, her weight and the water weight and stuff, that's gone. But in the hospital that whole week, I didn't really eat that much. My appetite was just awful. I think all I ate was just fruit. But yeah, on the postpartum side, I taking my blood pressure medication, and emotionally, I'm doing better. I'm obviously crying every now and then, but it's just a little part of the baby blues and adjusting to this newborn life and all that. But yeah, I mean, my incision looks really well. I'll show you guys my postpartum belly here in a few minutes. It's very weird, you guys. She's not in my belly anymore. And as for her, like, updating with her, breastfeeding is going wonderfully. I did have to supplement with formula at first just because I was feeling so bad and I needed rest. And, so I can have help with from my husband to feed her. And the past few nights I've been just giving her just breast milk, and it was a bit of a rough start with her with breastfeeding because she wasn't latching right. I was actually getting blood blisters on my nipples. It was pretty painful. Like, there was one incident in the hospital. She ate a lot, and she actually spit up, but it was blood. Straight up blood. Like, it was fresh blood, and of course me and my husband panicked. And I kind of knew, I actually kind of knew it was from me, because she was acting fine. It wasn't like dark blood or anything like that, like old blood. So I knew it was pretty much from me, and it was from me. It was from my bleeding nipples. And if that would have happened at home, we would have to call 911 and go to the hospital. But as for, like, an update with her, she's like 9 pounds and 7 ounces. Like, she did lose a pound. But her jaundice is obviously better. She still has it a little bit, but she's doing a lot better. She's sleeping. Kind of fidgety a little bit. But she does a lot of grunting. It's really funny and really cute. But her umbilical cord fell off. It's still healing a little bit. She's still got a little bit left, but the whole thing kind of just fell off. And you know, we're doing great. And emotionally for me, I'm kind of struggling, but it's pretty normal what I'm going through, so no worries there. But I'm gonna get off here and take care of my son. He's hollering for me, and get her into her bassinet and have her take a nap because she needs one. I keep waking her up. So I will catch you guys in my next video. I don't know when that will be. Please be patient with me, you guys, because I've got my hands full. It's definitely been a roller coaster ride for me and my husband and all that. So you want to say bye? You want to say bye, Double Chin? Been calling her little piggy. What are you doing? What do you see? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Hmm? Is she cute? She's the cutest. She's the cutest. But I will show you guys my postpartum belly, and then, if she will let me. So I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Okay, you guys, so here's my 3-week, almost 3-week postpartum belly. Obviously, I have no belly left. I mean, I have a little bit of a pooch, but that's pretty normal. I got some extra skin. It's the front. And my incision, I don't know if I don't want to go too low, but that's my incision. I think it's doing really well. It's a little purple, but they say that was normal. Yeah, there's no baby in there anymore, and I can breathe and all that. So basically, I will catch you guys later, and like I said, I don't know when I'll post my next video, but be patient with me, because, you know, I've got a lot going on right now. So, I think baby Holly wants to say bye. Let's see. She looks so cute right now. You say bye? You say bye? Say hi to everybody. Who is that in there? Who is that in there? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? You used to be in my belly. You know that? You used to be in my belly. You made me so miserable. You were so heavy. You were so heavy. Alright, you guys. I will see you guys later, and wish me luck. And to anyone out there who's still pregnant and that's getting close, good luck. And I'm thinking about you guys. It goes by fast. It really does. She's already almost a month old. So cherish every moment of your pregnancy, even though it's hard. So I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye.